The real Clint Eastwood, a life of trials, triumphs, and secrets. From the outside, Clint Eastwood may seem like a Hollywood legend with an unstoppable career, but the real Clint Eastwood is a story filled with hidden struggles, close calls, and deep personal battles. The man behind the stoic characters has faced more pain and mystery than most ever knew. This is his true journey. On May 31st, 1930, Clint Eastwood was born at St. Francis Hospital in San Francisco. He arrived weighing a staggering 11 pounds, leaving the nurses stunned. The nickname Samson stuck with him. His parents, Clinton Sr. and Ruth Runner, came from a mix of European backgrounds: English, Irish, Scottish, Dutch, and German. Somewhere in his lineage, a Mayflower passenger could be found. Clint would later gain a sister named John Bernhardt. Life in the 1930s was full of change for the Eastwoods. Clint's father struggled to keep work, bouncing between jobs like salesman and detective in San Francisco. The family moved constantly, never settling for long. But in 1940, they finally found stability in the upscale town of Piedmont, California. This wasn't the typical Great Depression tale. The Eastwoods lived in comfort, enjoying a swimming pool and a country club membership. Despite this comfort, Clint had a hard time in school. Poor grades held him back at Piedmont Junior High. He needed summer school just to keep up. At Piedmont High, his rebellious behavior took over. He was expelled after pranks involving obscene messages and even setting an effigy on fire on the school lawn. His next stop was Oakland Technical High. Teachers noticed some potential in Clint and tried encouraging him to act in school plays, but he had no interest. He preferred driving fast cars, chasing girls, and working on hobbies like golf and tennis. He was fascinated by machines, especially cars and airplanes. He even became so skilled at playing the piano that his fingers bled from endless practice. Graduating was uncertain. Records don't clearly show if he ever did, and some friends said he probably dropped out to enjoy life elsewhere. In early 1949, after his father moved to Seattle, Clint stayed behind with his friend Harry Pendleton in Oakland. Then came a surprising turn. Clint went to a party in Malibu, where he met film director Howard Hawks. This chance meeting would later change his future, but at the time, Clint was still trying different jobs. He worked in logging camps in Oregon, lifeguarded after earning his Red Cross certificate, and even played piano in an Oakland bar. Was his journey shaped by natural talent or fate? It may have been a mix of both. In 1951, during the Korean War, Clint Eastwood was drafted into the U.S. Army. Instead of combat, he was stationed at Fort Ord in California as a swimming instructor. It seemed like a safe position, but fate wasn't finished with him. On September 30th, 1951, while returning to base after a visit to Seattle, Clint hitched a ride on a military aircraft. It turned out to be the flight from hell. Bad weather surrounded them, and then things got worse. A rear door on the plane suddenly broke open. Clint managed a quick fix, but the plane lost both oxygen and radio contact. As if that wasn't enough, the fuel ran out, and the plane had to crash into the ocean, far from the California coast. With sharks nearby and no land in sight, Clint and the pilot inflated rafts and began paddling. But the waves were relentless. Clint's raft flipped, and he had to swim through miles of freezing water. The exact distance varies, depending on who tells the story. Some say 2 miles, others say 4. But his survival came down to one key skill: swimming, the very thing he had taught others in the Army. Delirious and exhausted, Clint swam through bioluminescent waters and reached the shore, stumbling into an RCA radio station. He reunited with the pilot, who had also survived. Years later, Clint starred in Escape from Alcatraz, playing a prisoner who escapes by swimming across the same freezing bay. It was art, reflecting real life. Even in the Army, Clint looked for extra income. He worked at a sugar company to help cover costs, making just $67 a month. Rumors spread that he dated an officer's daughter, which may have helped him build early connections. He visited Carmel during this time and quietly told friends, "One day, I'll live here." Clint met people in the Army who would later become TV stars, like Richard Long and Martin Milner. As the 1970s and 1980s rolled in, Clint traded cowboy hats for police badges. He took on grittier roles, like Dirty Harry, a San Francisco cop who used any means necessary to bring criminals down. These films blurred the lines between justice and law. In Thunderbolt and Lightfoot and The Gauntlet, he played flawed heroes chasing justice in their own way. Clint also explored comedy with the Every Which Way films, starring alongside an orangutan named Clyde. But he ended the decade with a darker role in Escape from Alcatraz, showing the world he wasn't just a Western star. He could play desperate men, too. During the filming of The Eiger Sanction in 1975, disaster struck. Stuntman David Knowles and climber Mike Hoover were filming a final climbing scene. They got the footage they needed, but a sudden rock slide sent a giant boulder crashing down on them. Hoover suffered a broken bone. Knowles was killed instantly. The moment was haunting. Just days earlier, the crew had staged a fake death scene in the same location. Now, they were faced with the real thing, Knowles' lifeless body hanging from a rope. Clint was devastated and considered canceling the film, but the crew convinced him to finish it in honor of Knowles' sacrifice. As the 1980s turned into the 1990s, Clint's characters grew darker. In Firefox, he played a pilot, haunted by trauma. In Tightrope, he portrayed a detective battling a twisted killer and his own fears. In The Rookie, his obsession with solving a case nearly ruined his partner's life. White Hunter Black Heart followed a film director chasing elephants more than his actual movie. The defining film of this period was Unforgiven. Clint returned to the Western genre, but now played a tired outlaw trying to bury a violent past. It was a deeper, more emotional portrayal than ever before. In the 2000s, Clint stepped into the role of the grumpy old man. In Space Cowboys, he played an aging astronaut, finally heading to space. In Bloodwork, he was a retired investigator whose heart condition slowed him down. In $1 Million Baby, he trained a female boxer while dealing with heavy guilt. In Gran Torino, he was a bitter war veteran who found redemption through unlikely friendships. His film Cry Macho featured him as a tired horseman traveling through Mexico. The themes were clear: aging, regret, and second chances. Off-screen, Clint's personal life was full of drama. He married Maggie Johnson in 1953, possibly looking for stability. But soon, that idea faded. He had affairs, one of which resulted in a daughter named Lori, who was placed for adoption without his knowledge. Another affair led to the birth of Kimberly. Maggie stayed with Clint for a while. They even had 2 children, Kyle and Allison. But their marriage began to fall apart, especially when news of his relationship with actress Sandra Locke became public in 1979. His daughter Kimber shared a complicated bond with her father. At times, she praised him. At other moments, she said she felt ignored, even begging him for more attention. Lori, the daughter given up for adoption, only discovered her father's identity through a private investigator in the 1990s. Clint accepted her when she reached out, but whether he knew about her before remains unclear. He had a long affair with stuntwoman Roxanne Tunis, which produced Kimber. Clint claimed he didn't know he was the father at first. He kept many of his children private, a pattern that would repeat. Sandra Locke entered his life in 1972. They acted together in The Outlaw Josie Wales and developed a passionate, volatile relationship. Locke later accused Clint of forcing her to have abortions and lying to her. Their relationship ended in bitter lawsuits, with claims of betrayal and manipulation. While still with Locke, Clint had a fling with flight attendant Jocelyn Reeves. They had 2 children, Scott and Catherine. Around the same time, he met actress Frances Fisher. Though Locke was still in the background, Clint and Frances began a relationship that led to the birth of their daughter, Francesca. Secrets from the past and media photos suggesting more affairs caused stress. The relationship with Frances also crumbled. In 1992, Clint met news anchor Dina Ruiz. They quickly fell in love, married in 1996, and had a daughter named Morgan. This period seemed more peaceful. But when Dina joined a reality TV show, Clint's dislike of public attention became a problem. Their marriage fell apart in 2013. Dina found comfort in an old friend, while Clint started seeing Erica Tomlinson Fisher, Dina's ex-husband's former wife. After their divorce, Clint moved on. In 2015, he began dating Christina Sandra, a restaurant hostess. They've kept their relationship quiet, but she often appears with him at family events, even alongside his exes. It seems peace has finally come to his personal life. In recent years, people have worried about Clint's health. He hadn't been seen in public for over 450 days, sparking concern. His last known appearance had been at a golf event in February 2022, something he usually never missed. Even when his son Scott played in the 2023 tournament, Clint was nowhere to be found. But those fears were eased in 2024 when Clint appeared at a conservation event hosted by Jane Goodall. He smiled, chatted, and looked lively. At 93, with a full beard and longer hair, he looked different but healthy. More importantly, he seemed happy. He's not just appearing in public again, he's also directing. His latest project, Juror Number 2, brought him back behind the camera in Georgia. He's fully engaged, showing no signs of slowing down. Clint sticks to a low-fat, high-protein diet, watching his cholesterol carefully. His father had died young from heart problems, so Clint learned early to take care of himself. His son Scott says Clint taught him to lift weights and eat for health, not indulgence. Whether he's filming, staying fit, or supporting wildlife causes, one thing is clear. Clint Eastwood isn't letting age define his story. His life has been a long, winding road of fame, danger, heartbreak, and survival. From a near-death crash in the ocean to painful public scandals and personal growth, Clint Eastwood's story is not just about Hollywood. It's about a man who faced life's worst and kept moving forward. This is the real Clint Eastwood.